Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for watching us. We are here at the studios of Santa Cruz County Public Media, and you are watching us from We Love Nogales channels, which are in your Facebook, your TikTok, Spotify, Roku TV, Amazon Fire. Thank you to all of our viewers for following us, for sending us messages. We read your messages, your feedback, your announcements, and we also make them public for the community when you need us to make something public or to share. We appreciate you watching us and following us in another segment of Meet Your Local Candidates. So before we start, I want to make two announcements. One, it's in benefit of scholarships with the Mexican Council, the City of Nogales, and the Art Committee here in Nogales, Arizona. They got together for this wonderful activity, and Octavio Arevalo, he's a tenor, and Fuensanta Hernandez, she plays the piano. They will have an amazing concert. We just interviewed them last week, and I think it came up today on our We Love Nogales pages. They're coming from Puebla. They're been all over the world. They're amazing people, proud of their Mexican roots, and they've been playing everywhere. I was able to talk to them. They've been in Spain, they've been in Rome, they've been in Mexico, in the United States, in big areas, and now we're going to have the pleasure to listen to them here at the Whitner Museum, the 18 and the 19. The ticket, it's only $25, and it's donation, because we're going to put all that together and put it for scholarship for the young generations that are getting ready to go to college, that are graduating from Nogales High School, from Nogales, Arizona, and all these committees by the consulate, the support of the consulate, the City of Nogales, and the Arts Committee. They wanted to put together this amazing concert for us. So join us. Let's enjoy 2 days of concert, the 18 and the 19. I'm sure the flyer is showing up on our screen, and the tickets are only $25. So send us a message, to us if you want any tickets, and we'll take you to the right direction. And the next one, it's I have the honor and the privilege to be invited to the Art Museum en Nogales, Sonora, México. Así que si me quieren acompañar el día 23 de abril, es martes, es a las 6:30 de la tarde, voy a estar presentando mi libro Fire Heroes, Héroes de Fuego, y lo bonito de esta presentación es que nos van a acompañar varios bomberos mexicanos de Nogales, Sonora. Muchos van a viajar de Hermosillo o de pequeños pueblos y ciudades cercanas. Voy a hacer la presentación para ellos de cómo escribí el libro de Fire Heroes. Voy a enseñar las ilustraciones del superartista Miguel Grijalva, que cada una de sus páginas fue hecha a mano, a acuarela, y las vamos a tener disponibles para que las admiren y las vean. Y pues vamos a echarnos una platicada todos juntos de cómo hicimos este libro de Fire Heroes, y para que nos acompañen. Join us. It's on the 23rd. Es en el Museo de Arte de Nogales, Sonora, y es a las 6:30 de la tarde. Vénganse a platicar, a conectar con nosotros y a conectar más artistas que me van a estar acompañando ahí. Todas las familias son bienvenidas. La entrada es gratuita y solamente queremos conocerlos y charlar un poco. Esta invitación es por medio de Infoculta, conmemorando la Fiesta de las Flores, y también sé que el anuncio y el flyer está saliendo ahora con ustedes en la pantalla. Y ahora sí, a lo que venimos. Muchísimas gracias, Través, Arnold, por estar con nosotros. Es un placer para nosotros tenerte en Santa Cruz County Public Media, and We Love Nogales. We appreciate you coming here and and to talk to us about, what you're doing here in our Santa Cruz County, what will be your project about you're running for sheriff for Santa Cruz County, and we're just going to talk about who is Travis Arnold, and all about it when it comes to voting, registration to vote. But welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much, and I really do appreciate the invitation to come on your show.
Thank you. And Travis, I really, like when we talk and when we sit down here, for all of our audience here in Willow Nogales, we want to connect. We want to get to know the people that sits with us, to talk about who is this person running for like a specific leadership. What is what are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your plans if you get elected? But before we start all that talk, I would love to hear from you. Like, who is Travis Arnold? And then we'll get to
Awesome.
our conversation.
My name's Travis. 39 years old. I was born and raised in northern Wisconsin. I was big into football and video games, and going into my senior year of high school, my football coach pulled me to the side and said, "Travis, you're probably not going to get a football scholarship, so you should think about how you're going to pay for college. And a great choice for that will be the military." So I did. I enlisted into the United States Army on July 1st, 2001. And 2 months later is when September 11th happened. So my plans of joining the military just so I can get college taken care of quickly changed. So kind of fast forwarding through things, I went to basic training and advanced individual training. I was starting out in the field artillery, so I got to shoot the big cannons. And in 2004, I volunteered to deploy to Iraq. So we were a small task force from Wisconsin that got attached to a unit out of Louisiana, and we deployed with them to Iraq. And I was in Iraq, Baghdad specifically, from 2004 until 2005. We came home, and I immediately redeployed here in 2006, and that was here to Nogales. And so that's what brought me down here in the first place. And what's kind of kept me down here since is this is where I've met my wife. This is where, we had our kids and we've raised our family, and it's definitely grown to be home.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for your service. We appreciate it. And then Travis, and I know I always love to touch base when somebody has a background of teaching, because I was also a teacher. So share with us your experience. You were teaching around Santa Cruz County for the DARE program.
Correct. So after getting hired with the Sheriff's Office in 2007, I spent a few years on patrol, and I had the opportunity in 2010 to start teaching the DARE program. I recognized that, I didn't have any kids at the time. I never really worked with kids, and I knew that there was going to be a lot of public speaking involved, and I never had any practice with it. So I recognized that, this will be a great opportunity for me to get some public exposure and, some
Awesome.
public speaking experience. And then, let's see what it's going to be like and maybe learn some lessons for, when our kids were born. And I started teaching fifth graders the DARE program. And I taught DARE everywhere through Rio Rico at San Cayetano and Mountain View Elementaries, Peña Blanca Elementary, down through Nogales at Bracker, and out through Patagonia and Sonoyta and Elgin.
Nice. Travis, what was your experience talking to children, teaching them about the DARE program, about drugs, about, all the danger, all those details?
So I really come to find great value in the DARE program, specifically because it had changed a lot from when I went through the DARE program as a kid. Mm-hmm. The old school lessons that you've always heard about and, they were definitely criticized have changed a lot. Mm-hmm. DARE had made a tremendous investment into updating the curriculum. And now so much, instead of trying to tell kids don't do drugs, It's now instead of, let's make right choices and here's the steps so you can make good choices. So it's taken it from being a strictly anti-drug thing to a decision-making process. And I think that brings a lot of help to the kids. But for me, I'm still young, energetic, and with the military background, I just kind of brought that military enthusiasm into the classroom, and I think they loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's such a cool, I think, experience. The connection with the children, with the families, the school environment. I think it's a nice area, like to also grow as a person, see those little ones, following also your leadership.
And on that point, just the growth of it, I started teaching DARE in 2010, and just in these last couple of weeks, being out on the campaign trail, I've ran into so many of my former DARE students, and awesome. They're all voters now. Yeah. And some of them have even moved on, and they're now working at the Nogales Police Department and the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office. And so it's good to see them. I mean, I remember when they were little fifth graders, and now they're officers.
And that's great, and I'm glad you're sharing that information, because we were sharing behind cameras before we started. Also, part of our engagement, or what we want for our community, is those new voters. Also, we want to make them aware, expand their knowledge on who's running for a specific position. What does it take? Who are they? Who's that person also after they go home from their work, and what are their vision? What are they there running for? And how awesome is for them to getting to know you and say, hey, I'm running. Did you register to vote? Yeah. Because that's what we want. We want everyone in Santa Cruz County to register to vote, the ones that are able and they can, because it's such a great feeling for us to be able to also make a decision, and at the same time to have that opportunity, and to have that knowledge, and also to have that power of I'm voting because I know, I watched, I read, or I saw the person, we talked together. That's what we want. We want to have that connection, to increase it, and to see to see a big amount of voters for this season now. So
absolutely, and voter turnout and participation is extremely important to me. It has a personal sentiment to me. I mentioned back in 2004 I deployed to Iraq. While I was out there, that was when Iraq and the Iraqis were able to have their first democratic election. And I was, tasked with providing overwatch over an Iraqi police station during those elections, and to see the Iraqi people being able to go in there and vote and, express their voice before they could vote, but magically one person would always get elected. Right. This was the first time that they actually had the power for it. So for me, it's tremendously important. I mean, it's our civic duty, but this is where you get to make your voice heard.
Right. I bet that was amazing also to be able to see all that movement, all that change that it was happening over there, and what a great for you, a great way to see the power of voting, and for everyone to be able to choose, and to choose for the good of the area, right, of their place. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And now you're here. You're running for sheriff. So share with us, share with the audience, for the people we are getting to know, what does it mean to run for sheriff? And then for you also, what does it mean to run for sheriff? What does it mean for Travis Arnold to run for the sheriff position for Santa Cruz County?
Sure. So I left law enforcement in 2018, and leaving law enforcement gives you a very, very interesting perspective into law enforcement. There's a big controversy, and there's a bunch of support for the thin blue line, and what that means to somebody that works in law enforcement versus somebody who's not in law enforcement. That's the interesting part of perspective versus perception. So coming out of law enforcement, definitely opened my eyes to, what it feels like as a regular citizen when, you see that patrol car pulling up behind you and you're wondering, are the lights going to turn on? Did I do something wrong? And then, as I progressed through things, I pursued a career in legal. I was hired with a law firm out in Los Angeles, and that's what we left the state for a little while. That wasn't something that really stuck with me, and plus the commute in Los Angeles was horrible. So I got back into the defense industry, and I've been working there for the last couple of years. But my position is capable of being remote. Awesome. So now that I was looking at it and I was seeing that it's coming up to an election year. I'd had so many friends and family members say, run, please. They'd like to be able to see what I could bring to the table with it, not only because of my background in the military and, with the sheriff's office and in leadership positions within the sheriff's office, but since leaving, working in the private sector and knowing how a business is supposed to be run. And then in 2020, I started my own business. So I stepped into that entrepreneurial role and, how to run a business and how to grow a business. That's an important piece of the puzzle for what would eventually be my role as sheriff.
I see. Thank you for sharing. So from Santa Cruz County, moving to California, and then coming back to Santa Cruz County, why coming back, Travis? What made that decision from you to say, I'm going to come back and I'm going to run for sheriff of Santa Cruz County?
Like I said earlier, Nogales definitely and Santa Cruz County had become home. We moved out to California, COVID hit, and the lifestyle in California, I think, was greatly different than it was here in Arizona during COVID. It was very, very restrictive, and I don't think we ever found California to be home. Where here, all my former coworkers and friends, and we have family here. It was a no-brainer for us. And then, just the alignment with the sheriff campaign, I guess, was maybe icing on the cake.
Awesome. Okay. And I saw on your page that recently you just received an endorsement from the Union of the Nogales Police Department, sharing that they will support your campaign and you running for sheriff of Santa Cruz County. Share with us, what does that mean? What does it mean for you also, for Travis, to have that endorsement from our heroes from Nogales Police Department, from our first responders? Tell us about it. What does it mean, and what also does it mean for you?
The endorsement is definitely a powerful backing to my campaign with it. Obviously, the Nogales Police Officers Association is not a part of the Sheriff's Office, but while being able to present to the Police Officers Association, I was able to express a few points of my campaign that I thought were of extreme importance and relevance to them. And number one had to be with partnerships. And being able to work on things like communication, interdepartment communications, being able to talk and relay information, to be able to share intelligence. So we don't have detectives in Nogales working the same cases as detectives in the county with it. So they can cooperate with it. And then finally, training too. Be able to do joint training operations and collectively work together. In case there is, a critical incident here.
I see. And Travis, what is your vision for if you become elected sheriff for Santa Cruz County? What is it, something that you want to see a positive change into it? What are your points or your topics to take care for the sheriff department?
Sure. So it kind of breaks down into two key focus areas with it. One of the first ones has to do with what I was mentioning earlier is the interagency cooperation, and expand that not to just include the Nogales Police Department, but to have a better working relationship with the federal agencies here as well, the state agencies from Highway Patrol to Game and Fish, so that we can all be on the same page with it. We live in a wonderfully safe community. We are also on a border community that has unique challenges. I come from a family that's rich in history of law enforcement. My father's a retired law enforcement officer. We've got a family plaque of all the different badges and patches that the Arnold family has served in law enforcement. But the role of a sheriff here does have unique aspects to it than a role of a sheriff in Wisconsin would. So it doesn't change the responsibilities, though. It's still those key responsibilities, but to be able to work with those partnering agencies, to have that direct line of communication between the officers on the streets and the agents in the fields, as well as what I mentioned earlier, is being able to exchange information and be able to utilize the strengths of each one of those agencies to the maximum.
I see. Thank you. What does it mean for for the public for them to learn about the sheriff position? What is and I know we've been sharing it before and on our past segments, but what is it for you and for our community to get to know? Like, what will you be representing when you become a sheriff? What does that mean? What does it take for our community, for our county? Is the vision, like the values, the responsibilities that they take over when they become elected sheriff?
Sure. So statutorily, the role of sheriff is defined, and it's got roles from keeping the peace to managing and maintaining the jail, as well as some civil processes. That's one aspect. But for me, in my pursuit for sheriff, I wanted to keep almost a neutrality with it. For me, we do live in a very Democrat-leaning county with it. As a role of the chief law enforcement officer, it's always from my perspective, anyways, is it's tough when you start mixing left and right politics in with that position with it. I've always been a registered independent voter. I don't vote for somebody because of a political party. I vote for them because of who they are as a person and what they stand for, and what it's going to represent for me and my family with it. So that's what I'm hoping for in my campaign with it, is that I could be a candidate that I don't care what political affiliation you have with it. You realize that I'm going to be, number one, the best candidate with it, but also a candidate that's not going to put partisan politics ahead of public safety.
Sí, thank you. And, ¿cómo te fue corriendo independientemente? ¿Cuál es ese journey, que se lleva ser independiente en vez de ser demócrata o republicano? ¿Qué diferencia hay? ¿Es más difícil?
Potentially, and there's also some benefits to it. So, in the beginning with it, and there's current campaigns going on to change some of the laws regarding independence and the registration process with it. But I've got to get a few more petition signatures than the partisan candidates with it. But on the other end with it, as an independent, I'm not subject to a primary election. So when the primary elections happen on July 30th, my name won't be on any ballots. So if you're a Democrat, you're not going to see me. If you're a Republican, you're not going to see me. But on the general election on November 5th, my name will be on that ballot. And that's already automatic.
Perfect. So on November 5th, we are expecting to see your name, Travis Arnold, in our ballot.
Yep.
But we can register from now on. And yes, for some of our audience, the voters that are voting for the first time, they will receive their ballot. They can vote for the primary in July, but also in November is when we will see, the names of all the candidates in the ballot, and your name will be one of them. And in November 5th, and then we will see your name as Travis Arnold, correct?
Or Arnold, Travis. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And and there's those little steps, those little explanations that I really love to touch base on it, because we're always receiving new people, new voters, new communities here, and I always share, for me, it was different. I became from Mexico as a U.S. citizen. However, I didn't vote because I didn't have the knowledge until later, years later. So, all those little steps, the more times that we share, I think it helps us, get to know, okay, we can register. We still have time. We still have time to register as a voter, even if it's for the first time, even if you stop voting for years, but you want to vote again, just, register to vote, or get to know if you have to update your address, your information, and then check in the Santa Cruz County website on the elections tab. All the information is there. We can all see, who's running for what position, from which party, and then from there we can just make our own decision and put our obligation, and also at the same time our vote to count. So I hope everyone that can vote it goes and register. We still have time for the primary elections until July 1st. But your name will be coming up in November 5th.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that information with our audience. Travis, anything else that you would like to share with our community about running? Like, what have been, your experience talking to the community? I've seen you around, I saw you around the area of Garrett's in Rio Rico. I'm sure you're being around the whole county, but tell us your experience. What does it take? And, I think at the same time, it's such a great thing that we get to see leaders in our community that step up and want to run for a leadership position, because I think we're also, informing, serving as a leaders, and as people that might want to be, in the future, like like trying to go around and experience different areas, and then come back home and saying, I think I can do this. I'm gonna run, and just share with us a little bit of your experiences.
Sure. So you mentioned one important word in serving, in public service. For me, that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I heard, was that people are looking for a true leader of public servants, somebody that's going to teach, guide, train their deputies to remember that at the end of the day, their job is public service. Their job is public safety with it, and keeping that at the forefront with it. As a leader, I like to think back on my military time with it. One of my first leaders, one of my first sergeants, had given me a very valuable piece of advice, and he said that leaders eat last. And as a young kid, I maybe didn't grasp the whole totality of that statement with it, but now as I'm looking at becoming a leader, that's taken a much bigger value to me. I'm not running to become the leader of the department as much as I'm running to be able to be in a position to help service, the deputies, the detention officers, and the other staffs. I want to be able to work for them to make their jobs easier, to make them more efficient, and to have their service to the community be exponentially better.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Travis, any other piece of topics or advice that I am missing for our community to get to know a little bit more about you, about yourself, anything that you would like to share to our audience that you think I left behind, but I don't want to.
Sure. For me, having been in business now for the last few years, numbers are important. Metrics matter. And that's what I started to look at when I was assessing, do I really want to run for this position? And unfortunately, the numbers and the metrics don't add up to what I consider a satisfactory level of performance with the current administration. To be able to go in there and take that business mentality and apply objective key results and key performance indicators to be able to start quantifying the mission of the sheriff's office, to be able to explain to the public that this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, and this is why it's important to it. Versus currently, things have always been stuck in the status quo good old boy system within that sheriff's office forever. It was there when I was hired, it was there when I was left, and it's still there today. So being able to know that, if somebody's promoted within that department, they earned it and they deserved it, versus they were related to somebody or they were friends with somebody. To be able to, also work on things like the funding and the budget with it. One thing that's boggled my mind is, and it's 2024 already, and that department still does not have body cameras. That's become almost a standard issue piece of police equipment anywhere in the country at this point. And I get it. They're expensive, and there's several layers of costs built into it. But there's also grants that are available for it. They've been available, and the excuse that there's not the funding or there's not the equipment or this and that, that's all it is it's a poor excuse. So to be able to go in there, and I've already started laying out all the groundwork, so if I am elected day one, I'm able to go in there and hit the streets running with it. To be able to take everything that I've been looking over for these last several months and be able to press start day one.
Thank you. Thank you for opening up and sharing all those very important topics, and then at the same time you're sharing your awareness about the needs of things that our first responders do need, as such a the body cameras, and also the challenges on grant writing, like having that to expand and get the service better for our community, have those very in need tools that will make their jobs
You mentioned the grant writing. The current administration passed up an opportunity that the Nogales Police Department ended up receiving a very, very large grant for, communication-related equipment, et cetera. They passed it up for political reasons when Governor Ducey was still in office with it. And unfortunately, that's really come up to bite them in the rear with it. Their radio systems at this point, they can no longer talk via repeaters. They have to talk in direct communications with them. And there's no contingent communication plans with it. Going back once again to the military background with it, is when you're establishing military communications, you create a PACE plan. So you've got your primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency layers of communication with it, because if something fails, you need to still have a way to communicate with it. Right. So passing up on grant opportunities because, it's a Republican governor that's, pushing this, or if it's a Democrat governor that's pushing for it, I think that's irresponsible, and we need somebody that can be independent of that and be able to do what's in the best interest of the public and the professionals that are on the streets.
I see. Thank you for all those highlights, for those for those details that you mentioned, because I think it's great for our community to get to know the needs and the opportunities, and at the same time your view as running for sheriff of Santa Cruz County as independent candidate Travis Arnold. Thank you for those advices, for those communication that you're talking to us. Anything else, Travis, that you think Amazing. Or anything you would like to share with our audience? Where will you be around for this next month?
I'm going to be doing my best to get out to all of the major events with it. So if you see me out there, please come up, talk to me, ask me questions, pick my brain, ask me what you really want to know as leader with it. Also, I do my best to stay very, very active on social media with it. I run and manage my Facebook page with it. And so if you'd like to engage with me directly there, send me a message. Okay. Post a comment on one of my topics on there, and engage with me. I've always wanted and always will be open to the public with it. And I think kind of that first step right now is through the social media side of things.
Thank you. And we're sharing your social media on our page as well. And I want to invite you to May 4th. It's going to be the Cero Estrés Movement, cuarto de maratón. So everyone in our community is invited. We're going to have, we've been giving free tickets to first responders too, because we acknowledge them, we love them, and we want them to be with us either running or cheering or walking. But come over May 4th. It will be the third cuarto de maratón traído por Cero Estrés Movement. The city, it's also, helping with all the managing, the help around from Morley, where we start the 6 miles. It will be a 6-mile run from Morley to all the way to Monte Carlo, going to the bike park around Monte Carlo, coming down. Those are 6 miles. The 3 miles will be from here to just about ¿cómo se llama el bridge que está por aquí, Edgardo? I think it's one of the bridges here around Morley Avenue. So we go 1.5 miles and then we come back, and that makes the 3 miles. Patagonia Highway. So thank you. So that nuestro camarógrafo ahí siempre ayudándome. So Patagonia Highway, then we come back. So those are the 3 miles. And then we have a kids mile, fun run or family run. So it goes from Morley to the Santa Cruz County Superintendent's office and coming back. And it's the 3rd year the Cero Estrés Movement does it as a fundraise to support their youth, to support our community, and also to support all the youth that go with them to competitions all over Arizona. They just brought us first place in mountain biking, and it's amazing just to see all this youth deportistas going and bringing us, with pride, first places, second places, and then see our whole community. Our mayor will be there, nuestro cónsul Marcos Moreno and their team will be there, first responders, all our people, and I think we're hitting over 500 runners. Wow. So if you haven't registered, register now, because we're about to close the registrations, just because we're hitting our goal of we're very close to 600 runners. So we're getting to our goal of 600 runners. So come over. It's going to be a whole party from the morning to the night, porque en la noche se celebran las fiestas de las flores. Así que va a ser un evento de todo el día, pero lo comenzamos desde la mañana a las 5 de la mañana. El equipo de Cero Estrés Movement está aquí poniendo a todas las carpas, poniendo el finish line, el start line. Va a haber una feria de salud por parte de toda nuestra comunidad. Así que you are more than welcome to come and join the party from Cero Estrés Movement y from the City of Nogales. La comunidad de arte y cultura en la noche para las fiestas patrias y el consulado mexicano. Así que if you have any first responders that would love to run with us, please let them know. We will give them their free ticket, and they can put their own t-shirt, their shirt of their department, and join us. It's going to be a great party. I hope you can be here. It's May 4th. I hope everyone can join us that day. And Travis, mil gracias por estar aquí. De verdad que te agradecemos tu presencia. Gracias por tener ese liderazgo, esa fuerza de empezar a correr por primera vez para sheriff. Te deseo lo mejor, mucha suerte. And we will see you around in our neighborhood in Santa Cruz County. Thank you for coming. And hopefully we'll see you in May 4th as well.
I'll see you then. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego y nos vemos la semana que viene en otro de los segmentos de Meet Your Local Candidates. Bye.